Good morning, and welcome to Brothers, Battles, and Bounty, where family, business, and a journey to success converge. We are your hosts. I'm Andreas.
I'm Martin.
I'm Anton.
I'm Stefan.
And we're going to share with you the journey to beginning in a family business.
So I guess I'll start. I'm the guy that started in here with Dad. Dad bought the business in 1962, and you guys were just little guys at that time. So was I.
I wasn't even born.
I was 12 years old. But anyway, he was going, and what happened was I didn't join until 1973, and that was when we moved from Hoyne, the small little spot
How
there.
old were you in 73?
In 73, I would have been 22 years old.
So I would have been
Okay.
6, and you would have been 4. And
18.
18. So anyway, yeah, and they had just moved, and he goes, "Look, I need for you to come into this business. You got to help me here. We got all this stuff." And I was still going to college, but so I dropped out of college and started up with Dad in purchasing and admin, getting the HR.
Do
and
you
all that stuff
remember? You
going.
remember what Mom told us about what happened? Where Dad took the money and put it towards the business without telling Mom about it,
Oh, back in 60.
I didn't hear about that.
and it was like, remember? She's like, "Hey, we need that money to buy groceries. We need that money, for clothes, yeah, it was. I just remember hearing that story, from I don't know if it was from Dad or from Mom, but yeah, he basically said he took the money that they had and put it into the business. He talked to Mom about it, and she said no, but then he went ahead and did it anyways. So,
I heard
yeah.
a version too.
So that might have been why in the summer of 63, I had my first summer job at 8 years old. I remember him waking me up at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm, hey, we're going to work. And I thought to myself, going to work? Why are we going? What's that? I said, I don't want to go to work. He goes, well, you can either go to work, or he took his belt off. He said, what do you want to do? And I said, I think I'm going to work. And after that, I was up 5:30 every morning at 8 years old. Didn't do a whole lot, but probably because he needed the money. They couldn't find anybody to do the work. With Mom, I didn't know that.
Labor, right?
Yes.
Very similar. At 12 years old in 1962, 63, he needed us to come in there and help. There was a lot of stuff, just all kinds of little stuff to do. And that's the way it was done back in the old country too. So
To the story that Martin was saying, I heard the story that when Dad went to look at the business before he bought it, that they were supposed to go grocery shopping that day. And Dad said, I'm going to check out a business. And Mom's like, no, you're not. We're going to go grocery shopping. And he's like, the hell if we are. I'm going to check. And she was mad at him for a month. And like fast forward years later, he's like, so what do you think about that now? I mean, so that was a little issue of contention, shows the courage of having a.
Well, they came here in 52 from
1951,
Europe
End of 51.
with you. You were a baby.
Yeah.
You were a baby. So they
Thank
came
God.
here. They didn't have anything. So I mean, to come to the country, didn't speak the language, didn't have any money, and just had the drive to, wanted to succeed, and he knew they had to come to America if that was going to be the case. So I mean, you were a baby when they came
Yeah,
here.
6
They had
months
nothing.
old. 6 months old.
So, I mean, where he got the money, he worked hard, from 52 to the time he bought the business, saved up whatever little money he had. And that was a big risk.
Well, one of the things I remember too to share is as kids growing up, here in America, first generation, wanting to be involved in sports and wanted to be on the basketball team, in sixth grade, seventh grade, they were trying out. And he goes, you ain't going out for basketball, you're coming to work. So it was always interesting to experience his part of sports. He was never a sports guy.
Yep. get closer to the mic because we want to hear all this
Yeah.
beautiful, poetic sharing of
the sports. He was never a big sports guy, or at least didn't encourage us to get involved in sports because
I
he
had
wanted us
the
to come
same-
into work.
I had the same experience. He's like, sports, forget it. I used to wear like ankle weights, workout. He goes, you want to get in shape? Go to work. That'll get you in shape. Grab a shovel. And, he said that like constant. That was the theme.
You just triggered me on one of the jobs I had as in 7th or 8th grade was we heated the factory with coal. Okay, it was still in the 60s, okay, 67, 68. And I used to clean the ashes out underneath the furnace, and it was in the basement. And they had 5-gallon buckets. You put the ashes in the buckets, and you carried them up the stairs, and then dumped them in the holes in the parking lot. Well,
So
Willie
how much does a bucket of coal weigh?
I have no idea, but Willie Johnson, who was the supervisor of the night shift at the time, was looking at me carrying these 2 buckets up these stairs. He goes, man, by the end of this year, you're going to be one strong dude because it was, I was, it was
Yeah,
pretty
you
good.
look at all of that of what
Yeah.
how it transpired, and then my experience too was younger. Hey, summers, grade school. We were down at the factory. You and I down there. You sleeping in boxes and
that was, I was tired. I was,
screwing around, but learning the stuff from it.
What about our family?
The,
We would always have time to be together as a family and celebrated stuff. I remember like weekends, we were
Yeah.
always,
Mom and Dad always were
I
critical
mean,
for us to be spending
dinners were
time.
critical. Have to
Yes, we'd always get together and stuff. The one thing that I remember in working at Trendler is my dad taught me. All the different things. How to weld, how to do maintenance things. I learned how to do plumbing. I learned how to do electrical. All the different stuff because it had to be done. So
Couldn't
we'd
afford
be
to
in
hire
there.
somebody to do
Right,
it.
exactly. And then I even remember Mom coming in and running the punch press. Remember, and you were in a little crib next to the punch press. She's sitting there putting steel plates in there, punching holes in there. I mean, I can imagine OSHA with that, and you sitting over
literally
there
a
right next
baby
to her.
in a crib next to a punch press. I mean, that's. I think that's kind of why I like rock and roll to this day. Yeah.
Heavy metal, baby.
Heavy metal, baby.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was unique.
another memory as I look back as a kid growing up working at Trendler, we always worked 8-9 hours a day, every day. We always worked Saturday, half day, sometimes a full day. So it was, but we opened up a bank account. We got our paycheck. I had money. I was very independent. But the key was, it wasn't a 40-hour week. It never, was it? Ever?
Yeah. Well, it still
remember?
isn't.
I remember. No, you're right.
No,
I
I mean-
remember going to grade
Yeah.
school, and when the school year was over, everyone was like, "Oh, summer vacation." I'm like, "Vacation, my ass!" I'm going to work. I mean, I didn't really even know vacation. It was interesting, but I mean, it was. I didn't feel I was missing anything.
Well,
I felt
we had vacations every year.
Yeah.
We went down. Our family vacation was over Labor Day weekend. We would head down to Effingham,
Oh, yeah.
Illinois,
yeah,
and we would go dove hunting.
dove hunting.
So
yeah.
as soon as we turned 11 years old, we got a shotgun in our hand,
Yeah.
and we went out dove hunting with
Yeah.
with Dad,
Yeah.
his buddies, and of course the brothers and everybody.
And Bangs Lake, or where was all the
in Wakanda. That
and
was
Wakanda, where they would have the different picnics,
Yeah.
festivals, ethnic, the German bands and beer
dancing
and
and-
bowling, and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
And didn't Dad have a partner
Yes,
at the
yes, he did.
at
He
one
had-
point in time?
When
or-
he started in 1962, Dad was the foreman at the Metal Kitchen Cabinet Company, Philip Metal, and Bob Cleveland, his partner, was the sales and marketing guy. And so he knew how to sell and different things. So they became partners. And then they separated their ways in 1983.
Dad bought him out.
Dad bought him out. He ran into some issues and
Right.
stuff, and then Dad bought him out and everything. And that was the same year that you came in, Steve,
Yeah.
in 1983.
So Dad approached me. Anton and I were partners in a retail business for 8 years. selling chairs and bar stools, primarily because Bob Cleveland was partner, didn't want him to bring another son into the business,
Right, he
whatever.
didn't want anybody else. Didn't want
Correct.
anybody-
And so we started a retail business, which was called Sit On It. And in 1984, Dad came to me and said, "Hey, I'm buying Bob out. Would you like to be my national sales guy? And we can, figure out how to transition you out of this retail." And in May of 1985, I became Trendler's national sales manager. It's pretty exciting.
You spent a year or 2 years visiting every single one of our customers and potential customers all over the United States.
And I just remember, I was pretty young at that time, but I just remember that, Dad was just, he kind of knew the vision that he wanted with his 4 sons, but at the same time, he was conflicted with it. Are they going to get along? He had friends in the business that had kids, and it was not there was never any really good stories about it. So I just remember back then, it was always, Dad was always just like, he wanted to hang on to, whatever it was, even though in his heart he wanted to, not pass along, but get us involved in it. But I just remember as a kid that seemed to stick out a little bit, at that time, because that was right in the, towards the, when Cleveland, when he bought him out, that was kind of the reflecting point in the business of like, okay, I just bought this guy out. What the hell do I do now? I'm by myself. Yeah, I've got, Anton at the time was, working there full time, but the rest of us were kind of
still in school.
and
Well, you were
so,
out. Yes,
well,
you were
so-
out.
But I just remember that was like
I want to
point.
share an interesting point that Marty's bringing up is, we're trying to think of what Dad was thinking. And for me, I always saw him really wanting all of us in the business. And what was his motive? What I'm getting like some clarity around it now was his work experience prior to this has always been as an employee, and he just felt that he got really taken advantage of by a lot of the bosses. He was a great worker. He did great things, but it was kind of this employee owner sense where he knew he could never be part of the family in these businesses that he worked in. And I look at it like he looked at us as being family to where he can trust us and he can put time and energy into us, and it's going to go somewhere as opposed to us just leaving or, quitting.
And even along those lines, he was, and I just remember hearing him talk about it was that he's like, the only way that he's going to accomplish his goals and objectives was not working for somebody. He had to create something and build something.
His mentor and inspirer was Uncle Faldine back in Yugoslavia, who was married to one of the Fesser girls, Grandpa Fesser's sister. And he owned his own business, a hemp factory where they made the ropes for the ships. And he was a real short guy. Our dad was always a little guy, like 5'3", 5'4". Uncle Faldine was really short. And so some of the insecurities that created, him and Uncle Faldine just bonded. Uncle Faldine liked him a lot, was his mentor, and trained him, inspired him to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. And that's when he came here. He wanted to be like his Uncle Faldine, have his own business, and be able to get his sons involved in the business. And
so you were there from kind of the beginning and the transition. You came in after the sale of the retail, worked as a VP sales marketing position. Then
I didn't come in. I was in college.
You and I we were in college.
But we worked during the summers.
Right, of course, through the summers. But when we came in permanently, I remember I was married my senior year of college, and I was going to go to law school. And before I went to law school, I was telling Dad, "Hey, can I work for the family business for like 6 months so I can get a nest egg for my wife and I?" He's like, "Of course, yes." Well, that 6 months turned into forever. I mean, I never went, didn't even look back. So I remember that was in probably 88, I believe, 87,
I think
88.
So, because I graduated in 89.
Right. So I was there for about a year. year and a half, then you came in.
Dad spent, I just remember when I would be down there during, I got my engineering background or excitement about it from Dad, because he was hands-on. He was down in the plant. He was he helped design the die. He had no tool and die experience. He was out there building the dies, building the fixtures. And when I came in, I always was watching him do that stuff, as a kid. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, hey, Dad, how did you learn how to do that? Well, he goes, what was his favorite? The dumber the farmer, the bigger the potatoes. And at first I'm like, okay, I really don't understand what the hell that
means.
Thank
goodness for that.
Not only was he hands-on and practical, he was a visionary. Because when he was the one that introduced the concept of setting up Sit On It, the retail outlet, to diversify because of his partner, but it was related to, so we were buying from everyone that Trendler sold to, all the dinette and barstool manufacturers. You and I got to interact with each other. You guys, as young guys, were delivering and getting exposed to the commerce and industry from a different dimension, and it was he was visionary.
That was our beginning of working together.
Yeah.
And
it was
from the foundation of it, which was really good. And when you had come into the company, there was a shift, which was refreshing because it gave us a whole new way of approaching the market and different things. And then I was dealing with you also when you came back from that on a day-to-day basis. And the next shift happened when you came in, Andy, and the dynamics now working day to day. And then Marty came in.
And it all went to hell.
No.
That's when things really started.
That's when it really through the roof.
Marty.
With Tony and myself, it was always kind of like an informal type thing. Okay, now all of a sudden the brothers are all in this thing, and all of a sudden we were like, it's like, okay, fine, we got this business where we're talking it. Now we were confused as to, okay, am I talking to you as a brother or am I talking to you as a manager? And so we started miscommunicating. I was misunderstanding. I think we were all maybe a little misunderstanding. And it got in between. It's like, I don't get this, and it doesn't make any sense.
So I think it's worthy of recollecting. We decided we became aware of it. We're smart guys. We were saying our family hats, our business hat, and our subordinate hat, our position. We had 5 different hats, and we say, okay, what hat are you wearing right now? And whichever one works out best for me right now.
That didn't happen. Okay, we didn't really understand that till about 1996.
Right.
When we joined the Family Business Council, it gave us tools from other family businesses.
Right.
But before that, what we're trying to do is we created once Dad in 1990 or 91, he made us partners. Yeah. And it was about 90, 91, somewhere in there. Yeah. Okay. And so we all became partners. And so it was like, oh my God, so we had to formalize. So we created the board of directors. We started strategic planning to try and focus us a little bit more on running the business, right?
Proactively running it.
That's a whole other topic in itself. I can tell you that.
Well, Well, that's where we're going to get into some of the other pieces there. The other thing that, so we did that. We then also started the buy-sell agreement. Yeah. I mean, we were meeting, remember, weekly for a breakfast meeting to hammer out. Now that we're partners in this thing, because everybody's like, oh my God, oh wow, I'm a partner. Yeah, well, you're also liable for the liabilities.
Did anybody have any recollection of when the transition you went through from non-partner to partner?
Well, that would be perfect for, like, hey, stay tuned. Hey, we're going to be talking
for the next
that's a whole other.
Right.
I mean, we could talk hours about
very dynamic. As Dad gave us these stocks and we became partners, there was a
Yeah.
there was a huge difference.
So for me, I always gave it everything I had, whether I was a partner or not.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. Oh, that's good.
But for me, once it became that now I just
Now I
decided.
I'm going to show you. Everybody will learn about that one sometime down the road.
yeah.
After I got my shares, then I really went
right.
wild.
No, but I think all in all, just to your point, Anton, the evolution of it was, now that I'm looking back, it was a lot of learning on the fly, learning as we were going, and how to communicate, how to conduct ourselves, how to, structure it. The structure was organically growing as we were interacting, I mean,
Yeah.
that was,
just talking today about, reminiscing again about how it all started, just brought back a lot of stuff. And, that, it's just amazing how it all just transpired. And all I can say is, stay tuned for,
Yeah.
for the next chapter. Because,
Yeah.
we have a lot of stuff to share with everybody.
Because when that happened, everybody's world shifted really hard to a whole new world.
Yeah.
So it was.
Great. So that being said, I think we all kind of shared. Is there any other closing comments anybody has or thoughts that you?
No, it was just awesome
Great
sharing
time.
it because there's a lot of nuggets in there.
Yeah, it is, because we're talking about the history part. Just a summary for me. I was thinking the other day about, I used to take the bus from Oak Lawn to Hoyne, and being in 7th and 8th grade, I want to go back there. I'm hoping the bus still runs there. I'd love to take I used to take the bus from 95th and Central to 63rd and Cicero, and then from 63rd and Cicero to Hoyne. And that was in 7th and 8th grade. I used to do it all the time. I'd read books, I'd forget, and I'd end up in Halstead, and it was not a good thing. But the point is that I'd love to take, this triggered me. I would like to take that bus ride.
That would
as
be
a
great.
grown, and
That would be great.
we're talking so 50 years ago. Anyway, that just was a thought. If anybody wants to come with me, I'll invite you when I go.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to need backup.
You think?
Yeah.
I'd say these days,
Yeah.
Chicago.
Okay,
we got
I'll
you.
let you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So with that being said, I think we kind of covered a number of issues. We clearly have a lot more content to share with our audience. I'm very excited to proceed into the future with this podcasting adventure. So that being said, please, as you watch us or listen to us, join us on all of the medias that we're presenting on. And
YouTube, LinkedIn, our podcast.
Spotify, Apple, all the wonderful things that we're going to
Instagram, Facebook.
Yes. And this is clearly our first one, so look forward to us evolving into it. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and we hope to continue to add great content to keep everybody interested. For any comments or input, just contact us and we'll take it from there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.